You know I'm not ready.
Well,
I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not prepared this morning. Just flat out. Right, JR? Tell the audience I'm not prepared, JR.
He ain't ready.
That's right. Good morning from Circuit World at Blue Ridge. What a beautiful day yesterday. I do not want to hear any complaining about the weather. I understand. I've been on social media and I have seen the 7-day chart. Oh, living in Georgia, and one day you're in your flip-flops and the next day you got to have your sweater on because our weather is so unpredictable here in North Georgia. But there are areas in the country that have had blizzards, snowstorms back to back. Yesterday, I think it was 60, sunny, beautiful. It's going to be a nice day today. But I tell you what. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get the opening. I tell you I'm not ready. I'm your host, BKP. We're at Circuit World at Blue Ridge. It is Friday. That's why I'm here. This is for me, folks, just to remind me why I'm here and what day it is. This is helpful on the calendar. Lets me know. Every time I see Circuit World, I know here comes the weekend. This is a bright spot. Anyhow, so we're here on Friday morning. Now, let me just start out by saying, you know, the news. Let's turn it off for just a second, okay? Just a second. Let's turn it off. I mean, you know, the media, White House in chaos. Donald Trump did this. Donald Trump did that. Oh my God, Mike Pompeo, the lady that wants to be the head of the CIA, was head of the interrogation unit, intense interrogation unit, torture. I mean, let's just, I know we got the TVs back here because to show you what great picture and how many TV Circuit Worlds has available. Well, let's just turn this nonsense off for a minute. And let's get to some serious stuff. That's my joke. Now, as a child, we won't go back how far back we have to go to get into my childhood. I can hear you know back there. This is what it's going to be like all morning. So as a child, just think of this. Now, I was fortunate enough to grow up in the neighborhood, not the hood like Vanilla Ice. Remember Vanilla Ice? This white kid went around, tried to pass off like he grew up in the hood. He never grew up in the hood. He just bought sneakers. Anyhow, so I was fortunate enough to grow up 1970-something, early, really 1968, 9, whatever. You know, you do the math. In a neighborhood where, you know, there was 5, 6, 7, 10-year-old boys that rushed down into the lower level of the bi level. You know, we had, if you're out there in America and it's 1969, we were building subdivisions at that time, and you had an option of a split level, bi level, or a ranch house. You know, 3. Okay, those were the models back then. And we're rushing downstairs to the TV in the corner so we could watch what? The Munsters. I'm serious. Remember that? The Munsters? You remember Lily and Herman and Grandpa and Marilyn and Eddie, little Eddie Wolfgang Munster. Well, I'm going to tell you what. Butch Patrick played the role of Eddie Munster. He is going to be with us today on the All-Star panel. We're going to have so much fun because Bruce and Rick, I sent them homework to do their Munster trivia reviews, so they are ready. I'm ready, and Butch Patrick, the star that played Eddie Munster, is going to be with us right here at Circuit World this morning. But he's going to also be, the reason he's here in town, why is he in Blue Ridge? Because do you remember those great dragsters on the Munsters? Now, there's one thing about watching the Munsters that some might not really think about. They built some great dragsters. He has the Munster Tribute Hot Rods. There was 2 hot rods. There was the family hot rod, remember that? And also what they call the Dragula. You remember Grandpa, the Count? He built the Dragula. So that is at North Georgia Ford up here, right here, North Georgia Ford in Blue Ridge. That is the 16th and the 17th. That means it's today, 16th and the 17th. Today and tomorrow, both of the hot rods, Munster hot rods, will be up here at North Georgia Ford. So Butch Patrick's going to be in here with us at 8:45, right after Ask the Doc. We have Dr. William Whaley will be in here with us. We have our 8:15 segment on Ask the Doc. Then at 8:45, we'll have the All-Star panel. We will probably get into some politics, but we're going to let Butch Patrick stay as long as he wants, talk to the panel. We're going to have a lot of fun. And then we always round out our show and our week with the star from the Pet of the Week from the Humane Society. I am your host, BKP. Good morning from downtown Blue Ridge. Now, I just want to say, we're going through week after week after week of the media sensationalizing something new and not actually reporting the facts. Now, I have watched all week to see the first media outlet, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, that actually did a story, would do a story on the St. Louis business meeting at Boeing with business leaders in St. Louis that Donald Trump held this week. Your president of the United States, he does these panels several times a week. He brings different business leaders in. Regardless of what the subject matter is, he gathers a group of professionals and listens. Okay? I don't think, now, I just want to say this for a reason, okay? Because I cannot focus on a particular item this week. We have the Pennsylvania 18th District, which Conor Lamb ran as a Republican, okay? He ran as pro-life, pro-gun, did not attack the Trump tax cuts, pro-tariffs, okay? And he won and said he would vote against Nancy Pelosi for Speaker of the House. So he ran as a conservative in a conservative district on the Democrat ticket, and he won the 18th District. All right? The district's irrelevant. The end of the year. At the end of the year, the district goes away. So the district Conor Lamb and the Democrats are claiming this major victory over is gone at the end of the year because the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, they've drawn new districts in the state. They've redrawn the districts in the state to benefit the Democrats, which makes this one irrelevant. Wow. Now, the Republicans in the District of 18, they have confiscated and they have taken in all of the voting machines. Now, Rick Saccone, instead of the Republicans saying, look, we just fielded a bad candidate. Now, maybe he won. Maybe there's voter irregularity. Maybe there's voter fraud. Maybe there's reason to look at the vote. So I'm not saying the Republicans are 100% wrong. But maybe you should not have gotten yourself in position to have to worry about confiscating all the voting machines and going to a judge and saying, hey, lock down all the machines. We need to go through them. Because this is a district that Trump won by 20 points. This is a district that Republicans should have won by 20 points. Republicans never learned their lesson on things. The local 18th District Republican Party, okay, blew it. Period. Quit making excuses. Rick Saccone is not a good candidate for that district. So that being said, we have that big news that they're still fighting over who won a district that does not exist, that spent $24 to $25 million, 12 from the Republicans, 12 from the Democrats, we'll just say, on 250,000 votes. Now, people are saying the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania came out and redistricted the area and drew new lines, And a lot of people didn't know if they lived in the district anymore. There has been major confusion in the state of Pennsylvania for the last 5 to 6 weeks over these districts. You know what? I'm going to leave with this. I watch all the news. I don't care, okay? Do I think it's okay if Donald Trump 10 years ago bumped into Stormy Daniels? No, it's not okay. Maybe he did. All right? It's 10 years ago. I wish they would put as much time in the news as Bill Clinton getting on the Lolita Express with Jeff Epstein, okay? A convicted, I think convicted, I don't want to get in trouble here, their attorneys are waiting, standing on by. You know, when I always speak, you know, you remember operators are standing by now to take your order. Well, you know, when I speak, I always get the feeling on the other side, attorneys are standing by to contact me at any time. But Jeffrey Epstein, the Lolita Express, the pedophile island, Bill Clinton, is on there 26 times. Oh. Anyhow, moving right along. You know, I talk about the Pennsylvania 18th District, and I talk about what happened there, and we look at everything that's been sensationalized by the media. But I will say this, I really feel strongly that every single day the President of the United States gets up, okay, gets up and has your best interest if you are in America. Your best interest. Now, if you happen to be in the military and you're watching worldwide somewhere, because we are thankful that we do see on the internet some hits worldwide, and if you happen to be from North Georgia area and you tune in somewhere in the world and you're serving this country, thank you very much. He has your best interest. But let me just make a little simple fact, okay? Forget all this shiny lights. They put the shiny lights, okay? They make fun of me all week long because I do. I get off target. They say squirrel and I jump a different direction. But I will tell you this, when it comes down to it, I can stay focused when necessary and I don't get caught off guard by the shiny lights, all right, in the media. There's 435 House seats. 435. You got it? The Democrats need 24. Simple math. You got it? The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Morning Call in the Lehigh Valley, the Washington Post, the New York Times, all say the new districts that have been drawn in Pennsylvania give the Democrats a 10-seat favorite to move over. Guess what? Now they need 14. Let's do simple math. This ain't Common Core, okay? Now they need 14. Guess what? There's 435 seats. The way we have written our elections and our Constitution is set up. The House of Representatives is elected every 2 years, all 435. They only have to find 14 Conor Lambs. 14. That's all they have to find. There's 118 races that mirror the district of the 18th District of Pennsylvania. 118. They got to find 14. And guess what? Sorry to get your day started like this on Friday. That's when they hand the big gavel over to the lady that can't get to a press conference because she keeps losing track of what she's saying because, you know, I don't know, senility. I don't know. I know that's not nice, you know, to say that about the lady. But, you know, it's time to go home. Nancy Pelosi. I apologize for starting your day like that. But I was just thinking that yesterday. When are we going to wake up and realize all they have to do is find 14 Conor Lambs if Pennsylvania turns 10 seats? Oh. Actually, I'm in a great mood. Did I tell you Butch Patrick's going to be here? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be a Debbie Downer or nothing like that. But Butch Patrick from the Munsters is going to be right here. But right after these messages, it's time for Dr. Whaley, Ask the Doc. I'm your host, BKP. We're at Circle. Hey, JR, I'm in a better mood now.
Good deal.
Can you tell?
Am I on your good side?
Can you tell?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to commercial. Dr. Whaley, right after these messages.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
I it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I'll tell you something. This could be love, because I've had the time of my life. I've never felt like this before, 'cause I've had the time of my life.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas, just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas, just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hot.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Hey, and we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from Circuit World in Blue Ridge. And it's a beautiful morning.
It is absolutely gorgeous.
And it's time for Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley. Dr. Whaley, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm old, you know. My back hurts, my foot hurts, and I'm not smart enough to put up these TVs in my house, you know what I'm saying?
You know, it's like when we used to visit Grandma. Grandma, how you feeling? Well, I got 50 catches in this leg and 50 catches in that leg. And, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I was sitting here feeling dumb. You see this box here JR's got? JR, where are you?
I'm over here.
He's got this box set out here, and it says 5 easy step installation. Step 1, step 2, step 3. I wonder if he sends a guy out to the house to help you with step 1, step 2, step 3, because we got us a TV at the apartment down in Atlanta, and I thought it was a beautiful picture and everything. And my wife looked at it and says, "That's got the, it's got the, what does it affect? The soap opera effect." I said, "What the heck's a soap opera effect?" And this technician guy says, "Yeah, it does have a soap opera effect. You need to get something or other, something or other." So about for the last 3 or 4 weeks, they've been these wires laying on the table. I said, "What are these?" Those are what is it, video wires or something or other wires that you replace the cables with, and that'll get rid of the video effect. I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's good. You got the wires." He said, "But did anybody tell you how to put them on?" I didn't know. And it's back to that. I mean, I went to school for 26 years, and they gave something out of a box like that. I got to get my grandkids to put it together. You send somebody to the house to help them, JR?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
We can ask the
JR sets it up for you. Right.
We'll ask the medical question, but then we'll have somebody come over and set the clock.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Absolutely. And that happened this last week on my car. I had to get the book out to set the daylight savings time on that new truck. Big pages in there on it. It's crazy. Go ahead.
Okay, now I think all of us are in the same boat, so don't laugh. I think all of us have to figure out how to set the clock, the audio, or something. But I do know that Dr. Whaley will be able to help us with our questions this morning. We always have 3 to 4 questions that we ask the doc every Friday. And but before we get started, you have you have your tab, you have paperwork, and you have this coin with you.
All right. This coin's for question number one. So ask question number one.
Okay, our first question this morning for Dr. Whaley is, what can lead to blood pressure spike out of the blue if you are on regular blood pressure medicine?
All right. This is a great question. And I thought with the recent change in definition of high blood pressure that's received a tremendous amount of publicity, that it was really time to spend a little time on high blood pressure. First of all, to make the question very easy, what can lead to a spike in blood pressure? I just want to take Amanda over there and imagine that Amanda is cruising down Highway 515 on her way back this morning, listening to Willie Nelson on the radio. Everything's packed up in the trunk of the car, and she's totally comfortable driving down the road. Her heart rate's 68, her blood pressure is 110/70, and a car darts out from the side and she has to slam on her brakes. Or she's on a lesser road and a kid kicks a ball out in the street and she has to slam on her brakes. In 1/10 of a second, her heart rate went from 70 to 150, and her blood pressure went from 110/70 to 180/110, all in less than a second. And that physiologic boost in blood pressure and heart rate is what is a protective mechanism we call fight or flight, so that when the dinosaur came down out of we were in the trees or the caves, it helped us run away. So the idea that blood pressure changes from second to second is a normal issue. This brings up a bunch of different questions. One, you are already on regular blood pressure medication. That means that you have the knowledge that you have high blood pressure. High blood pressure is the condition that causes more doctor visits in the United States than any other diagnosis. Blood pressure pills are the #1 prescription that is sold in the United States. You'd think from watching the television it was OxyContin or Viagra, but it's blood pressure pills. So this blood pressure issue touches virtually all of the adults that we have in our audience. So roughly 50% of the adult population over age 30 has high blood pressure. Nobody knows exactly how many of those are aware that they have it. In some studies, it's as high as 70%, and that tends to be urban populations with a pretty good educational level, where people do go to the doctor often enough to get their blood pressure checked. But we see people in rural areas, and this is a sort of a semi-urban and rural area here, who say, well, Granny hadn't been to the doctor since she had her last baby, and that's 30 years ago. And that's not an uncommon thing. So somewhere between a half and 70% of people with high blood pressure know they have it. So this is Amanda's question. Amanda, and when you ask patients about seeing doctors, well, I feel good. I know if I'd have high blood pressure. What is the first symptom of high blood pressure?
Elevated heart rate.
All right, give me a couple more, because that's not it. A symptom, that's a finding. What would the patient complain of if they had high blood pressure?
I'm not sure.
All right, how about you,
low blood pressure,
BKP?
so-
What's that?
What's the first symptom of high blood pressure?
Well, I don't know, but I have headache.
Okay, that's what most people say. Headache.
It's like I know a high blood pressure headache. I've dealt with high blood pressure, and
Go ahead.
well, I mean, I just like I can get a headache, and I know it's not a high blood pressure headache.
Okay, or you know it is a high blood pressure.
Yes.
This is my inaugural coin to George Bush's George Bush's inauguration. And so I'm going to flip it, and Amanda's going to call it. Ready, Amanda?
Heads.
It's tails. The first symptom of high blood pressure, 50% of the time, is sudden death. Not a headache.
The what?
Sudden death.
Is the first
symptom of high blood pressure, 50% of the time, is sudden death. It's not a headache. It's not rapid heartbeat. It's not a nosebleed. It's you're dead. So, I mean, that should get your attention. So, the idea that you want to know that you have high blood pressure, at least 50% of the time, is to allow to get you into that treatment group so that you're not the half that get killed. Now, Amanda, you've got a little chart that looks like this. That's a bar graph. Just put that up there briefly. And one of the things you would like to avoid if you got a diagnosis is sudden death. And that doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell somebody that this can get you out of that sudden death. But the second reason is that so many conditions are caused by or worsened by or associated with high blood pressure that we'll show the chart here in just a minute. But this first chart she's showing is the benefit of treating mild high blood pressure. And that's the day-in garden variety 130/80, 140/90 blood pressure on sudden death from heart disease. So the first one's fatal heart attack, total heart attack, fatal stroke, and total stroke. And all you have to do is see that the little light bars are shorter than the high bars, and the light bars are the ones that had high blood pressure simply diagnosed and simply treated. Doesn't say a word about whether it was adequately treated or well treated. So you can just leave that sitting up there, and we'll talk a minute about high blood pressure. So you go to the doctor, and the doctor says your blood pressure is elevated. Well, that, unfortunately, is the worst way to diagnose high blood pressure. So I want to read you just one line from the up-to-date about high blood pressure, and I'm going to do it very slowly. It says, when evaluating an individual patient, making the diagnosis of hypertension is complex and requires integration of repeated blood pressure measurements using appropriate technique both in and out of the office setting. Now, what that sort of opened up is that this just isn't walking in the doctor's office, getting a blood pressure taken, and walking out with a pill. Because a very high proportion of people, and here came two walking in the door here, would be going into a doctor's office, having them stick a thing, take his history from you about your sex life, and are you safe in the home, and do you own guns and everything, is stressful. And that raises your blood pressure. And we call that white coat hypertension. Back in the World War II, when they were inducting military people, teenagers, about 1 out of 6 had an elevated blood pressure. And then they just go over and let them lie down on a cot for 10 minutes, and their blood pressure was normal. So that's called white coat hypertension. Those people are not hypertensive. So this complex evaluation that they're talking about consists of having the patient obtain a blood pressure cuff that's an accurate type, take it home and take blood pressure where they live and in their normal environment. That's really your blood pressure, not the blood pressure in the office. What I tell patients to do is buy a cuff, the one that the American Heart Association says is the best is Omron. I tell them to take their blood pressure when they crawl in bed, crawl out of bed, lunchtime, supper time, and do it for 2 weeks, take it twice each time, and write down the average. In the first half of the first week, this is sort of strange. They're just learning how to do it. But by the last half of the second week, they've been doing it so much, it's an old habit. That's their blood pressure. And that's their blood pressure where they live. And if that's not elevated, they don't need to be treated. There are a lot of patients, though, that go to the doctor's office and their blood pressure is normal in the doctor's office, but it's high in their environment. And is it higher in their environment because they don't get along with their family or they got a stressful job or whatever? So both extremes exist. And you have to be able to determine what the blood pressure is under both extremes before you accurately can diagnose the blood pressure. So, the question is, what can lead to blood pressure spike out of the blue? Anything can, but it puts us back into what do we really know about and what should we be doing about high blood pressure. Now, I'm gonna ask Amanda again. When's the last time anybody took your blood pressure, Amanda, and do you remember what it was?
Well, I know it was probably like, I have really low blood pressure, so it was probably I think 100/70 or something like that.
Okay, and how long ago was that?
When I had the flu 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
That's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you were sick.
Yes.
And so if you were sick, you would expect your blood pressure to be low.
Right.
So you haven't the foggiest idea what your blood pressure is. At the end of the day, when you've been around here and been dealing with BKP and having the internet go down. All right, so I'm just making a point with you. And by the age of 30, you'll be 30 within at least 10 years, that by the age of 30, you ought to have your blood pressure checked multiple times per year, and it ought to be checked not only in the doctor's office, but checked in your home. Now, what is the definition of high blood pressure? That's the next step. Interestingly, today, the Federal Aviation Administration has as their limit of blood pressure for a pilot to fly you in a 747, well, they don't fly them anymore, 777, 150/90. That's really high. And as you know, the American Heart Association and National Institutes of Health have changed the upper limit of blood pressure for any age to 120/80. So that's 30 points that they're letting pilots have that they aren't going to let you have for good health. So the definition of normal blood pressure is 120/80 or less. Elevated blood pressure is 120 to 129/80 or less. And diagnosed high blood pressure is 130/80 or greater. So when you're 130/80 or greater, you have high blood pressure stage 1. And if you get to 140/90 or greater, you have high blood pressure stage 2, and that's the only 2 we have. And 2 years ago, 140/90 was normal blood pressure. So people who have been told off and on that their blood pressure was normal have not gone back and had it checked under these new modern conditions. I would recommend that they go do it. Now, Sam, Amanda, you got another chart. That big one that confuses the heck out of you. I don't expect anybody to read it, but that's what's called a diagnostic algorithm. Is it up, Amanda? All right. If you look at that, that's about 12 lines of arrows and splits and stuff. And it gets started at the top with you going to the doctor and having your blood pressure at 130/90, and it goes all the way to the bottom before you are really diagnosed with blood pressure yes or blood pressure no. And then after you've gone through that big old thing, Amanda, show them that one that looks like the chart there. So many other diseases are associated with high blood pressure that the normal knee-jerk response of your blood pressure is elevated, let's give you X pill, needs a lot more precision than that, because there are blood pressure pills that you can take that'll benefit your other conditions. For example, if you're anxious and have high blood pressure, you choose this pill. If you're depressed and you have high blood pressure, you choose this pill. If your blood sugar is elevated and you have high blood pressure, you choose this pill, because those pills not only have a controlling effect on the blood pressure, but a beneficial effect on the diabetes or the blood fats or whatever it is that makes that other stuff go. Now, there's a few complications of blood pressure medications, and that you've got to have somebody that knows what they're doing to be able to monitor you so that you don't cause those things. So at the end of the day, the kind of short, I know it's a long answer, but one, many things will run that blood pressure up. Two, that means that people, once they get to age 30, need to know what their blood pressure is, need to know what it is frequently, and need to watch it. And if it's 120/80, they need to be doing something about it. Now, there's lots of different fancy tests, like an ambulatory blood pressure monitor they put on your arm and you wear for 24 hours. It takes your blood pressure every 15 minutes, day and night, and that tells you if you got sleep hypertension and hypertension in the afternoon. Those are not available and generally in offices like you have up here in the country. Usually get those from your cardiologist, and the American Heart Association talking about those those machines say this machine is the best thing you can use if your insurance company will pay for it or the patient has the means to pay for it, meaning your insurance company is not going to pay for it, and it's another one of those things that they recommend that you can't get done. So that's enough about blood pressure. Is that enough about blood pressure?
Well, I mean, yeah, it is. You know, the 50% is just drops dead.
That's a real number.
That one bothered me a little bit because I know I call it a blood pressure headache, and because I have dealt with that before, you know. But let me ask you a question on blood pressure, okay? Because let me ask you a question. I tend to get worked up sometimes. Like everybody perked up really quick, like. So, you know, I tend to, on my show, I'll get worked up sometimes, right? So, but it doesn't bother me. And people will say to me, they'll send me a message, say, oh, Lord, I was worried you were going to have a stroke, or, you know, and you got all worked up, or I was worried, you know, you're going to have, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I get worked up a little bit on the show, I get wound out, but then I feel good. I don't feel bad. You understand?
I perfectly well understand.
I mean, when a person gets really worked up about something or whatever, is that increase?
Okay, you got two issues here.
They say I have more than two issues, though.
All right, but the first issue I want to kind of put to rest quickly, and that is that I have a high blood pressure associated headache. Most headaches of that type are called muscle contraction tension headaches, and your blood pressure may or may not be elevated. But if your blood pressure is elevated enough to be causing headache, then your high blood pressure is not appropriately treated. So let's just put that aside.
What now?
If your blood pressure is high enough to cause a headache, an intermittent headache, and you have that headache, and your pressure is elevated at that time, then that's not a simple muscle contraction tension headache, and it says your blood pressure is poorly controlled and it needs better control. So that's the high blood pressure patient who says I have a high blood pressure headache. I want to get over here to the TV guy. You've got if you can remember the program, Network, where the guy sweated underneath his sleeves. It's such a great analogy. Getting worked up here, getting your heart rate up and getting excited about something is absolutely great. That is the natural biological, which I earlier said, fight or flight phenomenon that raised your blood pressure and your heart rate when you were driving down the road and that car pulled out in front of you. That all helps you get better performance, better focus. If this was a battle and you had a gun in your hand and you were trying to run and jump over something, that would all be done better. There is nothing about that reaction that is in any way harmful. Because once that reaction is over, and you go out there and you sit in your car, you get to go home, put your feet up, smoke a cigar, it's gone. So that's helpful, not harmful. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But if you really have a headache that's associated with an elevation of blood pressure, get Dr. Tidman to take better care of it.
I believe in not taking that chance. Now, we have other questions, but the blood pressure question is so important, and trust me, you can get these segments. We put these segments up, Ask the Doc, on our YouTube channel, so you can share these with your friends. Great information. I don't want to. I want to give the time to our other questions, but that was just so important. Thank you very much. If someone has a badly bruised tendon on the back of their ankle, is there anything that they could do to help the bruise heal quicker other than just waiting it out?
That's a really great question because it hits the definition of really bad. It's the way it was written. If somebody has a badly bruised tendon on the back of the ankle, well, the name of that tendon is the Achilles tendon, and that thing ruptures. And when it ruptures, your season's over, whether it's basketball, baseball, or whatever it is, and you're on your way to the operating room. Most Achilles tendons are treated in athletes by surgical repair. Most of them are treated, there are only very few that are treated by casting and letting them try to heal their own. We had a very close friend here who's in the building business who jumped funny off the back of his pickup here a few weeks ago and got a Achilles tendon rupture. So we're going to make the assumption that this is strained, pulled, and badly bruised and not ruptured, because if it's ruptured, they need to be in the operating room. Now, can you show that picture of the girl on the chair? I got that picture up because it's a little easier for people to see than the one that's stretching the Achilles tendon. So we're going to talk kind of briefly about the three-pronged approach to the treatment of a bruised or hurt tendon or muscle. This is a three-phase treatment, and absolutely there are things that you do besides just tincture of time. The immediate injury is treated with a intent to limit hemorrhage, which means bruising. Now it says bruising. So as soon as the injury occurs, you begin a treatment. We've heard this before, RICE: rest, ice, compression, and elevation. And in a lower extremity injury like this, the treatment for phase one, and phase one is only the phase to limit the hemorrhage, and that may be several days. And we'll tell you, how you tell, is weight bearing is tolerated with crutches. So if you've got this thing, you should be on a crutch or a cane. Ice massage, 10 to 15 minutes, 3 to 10 times a day. That's a lot of ice massage. What does that mean? It means you either have a paper cup in your freezer that becomes a big ice cube, you take it out, peel the paper off, insulate your hand, and then rub that thing with the ice, or you have it done in a baggie. You put it in a cold pack with pressure on it for 20 minutes. You put compression around the ankle. And then once you've got, and that might be a day or two, once you've got it to where it's not swelling anymore, you begin isometric contractions, which is sort of what that picture that Amanda's showing there. That one happens to be for a thigh bruise. The one for the ankle bruise is to do your foot like that. Now that period of time of phase one to limit hemorrhage, depending on how bad it is, might last 3 days to 8 or 10 days. The second phase is one that is really important. It's when you're trying to restore pain-free motion. So once you've got the hemorrhage limited, you've got immobility because you haven't been using the joint, and that then again becomes ice therapy or massage, 15 to 20 minutes, 3 to 5 times a day, and then whatever joint you've got, the appropriate stretch. And the one we've got there is actually for a bruise on the anterior. For the Achilles would be the one where you've got the wedge on the ground, and then you do that, and you are still not doing any exercise. You put the crutches down when the pain is gone, and when you have about 90% of your usual motion in that ankle. At that point, then you can go back to the phase three, which is trying to get functional rehabilitation and to regain strength and motion and endurance in that joint. And then whatever it is you do, whether it's a stationary bicycle or walking or whatever you do, you increase that by less than 10% a week. Otherwise, you risk rupturing that Achilles tendon. So there's a lot of things that you do. It's in 3 very well set out phases, and if it's that bad a bruise, you need a professional to help you. Was that too much, Amanda, or is that okay?
That's perfect.
Perfect.
I get you.
All right.
Okay, Dr. Whaley, our guest this morning, Butch Patrick, has showed up, and we're going to be with you in just about 5 minutes. But we got a couple more questions. We got to wrap up with Dr. Whaley. A small red non-itching rash appeared on the top side of my hands a week or so ago. The rash seems to be gone, but the places it was are still much drier and tougher than the other skin. Should I be concerned the rash is not fully gone?
No, be happy. It's healing.
There you go.
All right, that's it.
Be happy.
Be happy that's healing.
Okay. can a person develop eczema as an adult?
Okay, now Sam recycled that one because we talked about it a few weeks ago. Show that ugly arm there, would you? Eczema is usually a childhood disease. It is, in most cases, not disabling, and it is, by definition, an area of scaling, itching, with dozens and dozens of causes, most of which have some sort of an allergic family history or allergic personal history. And it would be 80% kids and 20% adults, and so adults can do it. So when you see that rash, how well is that rash showing, Amanda? Pretty good?
It showed good.
Okay, that rash is a pretty common looking rash, right? You've seen that. Now just imagine that that's on your hands. You scratch it all the time, and you put stuff on it, it gets better and it gets worse. That's the definition of eczema, which is, you remember what the definition was? Because we said it was one of those things that had two words, atopic dermatitis.
Yeah, I remembered that.
There you go. I remembered that one. Is eczema, and it can occur in adults, and we're not going to go through all the allergy stuff today. We went through it a few weeks ago.
Well, Dr. Whaley, anything, and I regret sounding like I'm putting pressure on you on 1 minute or less.
All right.
Now, see, let me hit the timer.
Okay, first.
Because we have a whole studio waiting for our next guest.
Okay, in this studio, I see a couple of people who have asked me questions recently about what do I do about my friend or family member who has an addiction problem to get them into treatment.
Okay.
Okay. Now, every time something becomes popular, a fraud industry comes up around it quickly.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Last week I told you about the fraud injury of stem cell injections into joints. In the last year, with the opiate addiction, there have been 950 substance abuse centers that have opened in the United States that are fraudulent and that advertise on the internet and that have placed themselves such that they're the top hit under Google and have placed false testimonials so that if you really went to Google to try and get your brother into treatment, you would have a much higher chance of getting a fraudulent place than you would of getting a worthwhile place. And you would, and so the answer is stay off the internet. Now there's an urgency. When you finally get your person to say, I'll go into treatment, you haven't got time to start writing letters or anything. You got to get something done instantly. So the recommendation of the National Addiction Society, of which I am a member, is that you find a hospital, a legitimate hospital that has emergency facilities where they evaluate people, or you find a mental health facility to trust. Like, for example, Emory's got a psychiatric hospital, and then we have some well-known psychiatric and addiction hospitals in Atlanta. And you get hold of somebody that you know that's got at least some sort of reputation that can give you a recommendation. Say, my cousin's in California, and you talk to somebody you trust in Atlanta to help you make that choice. Otherwise, you can end up with fraud. That was the biggest thing that came out this week.
Thank you, Dr. Whaley.
You don't want a Zika update, do you?
No, I don't want it. Not a Zika update today. Thank you, Dr. Whaley. We appreciate. Ask the Doc. You can always find it on our YouTube channel, FYN TV, Fetcher News YouTube. You can find it there. Share it with your friends. Great information. If you ever have a question for the doctor, send that to info, INFO, at FetcherNews.com, and please put in the subject, Ask the Doc. Send us a question for Dr. Whaley. We'll get it to him throughout the week and hopefully get it on the show here, but get you an answer. I'm
if
your
they're
host.
personal ones, we do it on offline.
Yeah, if it's personal, we do it offline, but we do send every question to Dr. Whaley. So, hey, right after these messages, we're going to have our all-star panel and a special guest. Butch Patrick will be joining us. You remember the Munsters? Butch Patrick, remember the Hot Rods? Oh, I can't wait for this segment. 10-year-old boy laying on the floor, waiting for the Munsters to come on. I've dreamed of this show. Right, Rick? Say it. Right after these messages.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
I've had the time of my life. I never felt like this before. I swear it's a truth.
Just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas, just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hot.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Hey, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from beautiful downtown Blue Ridge. We're at Circuit World here in Blue Ridge. And our guest this morning, Mr. Butch Patrick. How are you this morning?
I'm wonderful. Thank you very much. And you're right, it is beautiful around here.
It is beautiful. Natalie, are you okay? I know you're starstruck. It's all week. Should I tell everybody that when Mr. Patrick here, Butch?
Yes, please.
Played the role of Eddie Munster in The Munster. So when I sent this over to Natalie, and most of you know Natalie, right? She said, I'm throwing you right in this, all right? So she said, can I write the story? And I said, only if you know your Munster trivia, right? She's so mad. I am getting it right. You had to do a whole week of Munster trivia. She did. We have Bruce, Rick, glad to have you back, and Jane, but we're going to talk a little bit about the Munsters. Mr. Patrick, Butch, you have the hot rods here in Blue Ridge. Why Blue Ridge? Why did you guys pick North Georgia Ford to come up and bring the hot rods?
You know, it's funny, when I purchased the cars a few years ago, I'm a gearhead. I'm a member of a car club called Dead Man's Curve up in New Jersey, but The Barris cars were so iconic because they were the first hot rods on television that were used as a family vehicle, and they really set a tone for a lot of people. Even today, a lot of hot rodders built the models and got inspired to build their own cars. But when I bought the cars, one of the things I knew is car dealerships would love to have an opportunity to do a promotion, because my dad used to own a car dealership, and I worked there, and I knew what it took to get new faces to come on the property. So the Munsters having a huge fan base, I thought this is an interesting thing. I can go out on the road, which I enjoy, visit places like Blue Ridge, and a friend of mine who lived in Atlanta. Actually, I called him, an old football NFL player, called him, and I said, do you know anybody in the, I'm going to be heading to St. Louis, do you know anybody in the Georgia area? And I used to live in Atlanta in '96. And he put me in touch with Cowboy. And the rest is history. Here we are. We go on the road. I've logged about 50,000 miles last year, crisscrossing the country, doing all kinds of appearances. But car dealerships is my main wheelhouse.
Well, tell us before we get into the Munsters. Tell us the 2 cars you have.
Yep.
They're at North Georgia Ford, right here in Blue Ridge. You can come up here. We're going to give Butch an opportunity to tell you what's going on with that. Right here at North Georgia Ford, you can come up and check out the cars, meet Butch. What are the 2 cars you have with you?
Well, both of them, Munster Coach and the Dragula, were the 2 vehicles that were used in the show. The Munster Coach was kind of like...
Is it okay? I didn't mean to be rude. If it's okay if sometimes I can't keep a straight face, because I've watched the Munsters like 9 times, right, Rick?
Yeah.
And he can't keep a straight face, and he's making faces.
I have a lot of mannerisms that'll probably throw you back.
Okay.
I don't want you...
My wife's constantly saying, you do this like Herman, you do like that grandpa, I get it. That was my family, so yes, I picked up their mannerisms.
Just so you didn't pick up their genetics.
I'm short, yeah, I'm no Herman's son. The Munster Coach and the Dragula were basically introduced to the show by George Barris, legendary builder. The ones that I have, the gentleman that built them was a Chevy guy. So the Coach has got a 454 in it, and the Dragula's got a 400 small block. High horsepower, very loud, and I recreate the Hot Rod Herman episodes at drag strips throughout the country as well. So other than the power plants, they're a little bit better made than the originals because they were built 15 years ago, where George put those together in the 60s just to be kind of a visual car. They really weren't roadworthy, and they went around the country. But mine are, the Coach is street legal, and the Dragula could be street legal, but it rides so hard I wouldn't want to take it on the road. But they're really cool if you come down and look at them. If I didn't tell you they weren't the real thing, if I didn't tell you they were reproductions, you would never know it. That's how good they are.
What were you say, Rick?
I said, Tim Ford, the owner. By the way, you're lucky because they'll take anything on trade if it doesn't breathe. So no, but I saw him in town and he said, God, you got to come down to the dealership because Butch is going to be here and the cars are going to be there. So I think you're going to get mobbed down there today. There's a lot of gearheads in North Georgia.
And when I pulled into the showroom, they already had museum quality stuff on the floor.
Oh, did you see that? You saw the purple...
oh, yeah, the Munster car.
Yeah,
the Munster car before I brought my cars.
That's right.
Well, let me ask you, the episode where they were at the drag strip. How exciting! If you're a gearhead and you like cars, the episode that you guys did where you're at the drag strip, I'll never forget.
Where was it? Pomona?
No, it was at Lyons.
Lyons,
an old famous drag strip in Wilmington, which was only a few miles from my house. And afterwards, when I first got my Mach 1 in 1969, when I was 16, I used to go to Lyons on Wednesday nights and you could $2, you could drive all night and get time slips. So it was very convenient for me, and that's where my love affair with drag racing started. And when I was 16 to 18, I spent almost every weekend at the drags with a friend of mine, Jack Chrisman, and his family, who invented the funny car. So I was back there in the early days, hanging around with Perdome and McEwen and the greats and the glory days of drag racing.
All the names, right?
Oh yeah, one of the coolest things with drag racing names were Fast Eddie Sharpman, Dido Don Nicholson, Jungle Jim Lieber. They all had these really cool names.
Right,
Can we? Yeah. I love the cars. I love the gearhead. I love all the conversation. Can we switch to talking about Munster?
Sure.
To talk about the show.
And maybe you should put it in perspective when this show ran for the younger people listening.
Yeah, it ran from it ran from 64 to 66. Al Lewis and Fred Gwynn, who played Herman and Grandpa respectively, were on a show called Car 54, Where Are You?
That's how I was going to bring
2 years before that.
So did they come in with, I didn't mean to be rude, did they come in, and that was one of the things I was thinking, you're a young boy at this time, did they come in with such chemistry into that show from Car 54?
Exactly. When I wrote a book, and I told them some of the comedy routines that they had between themselves in the dungeon were right up there with Abbott and Costello and Laurel and Hardy and the best. They really were. And then in addition to their chemistry, they brought in a major movie star to play Lily, Yvonne DiCarlo.
Yes.
Who, before television was getting major stars to perform, she was like a groundbreaker.
They played Car 54, Fred Gwynn and Al Lewis played Car 54, so they had to come in. But Al Lewis, what was it like to work with Al Lewis? I can only frame it that way. We watched a clip.
I sent him a clip last
We watched a clip
I
yesterday.
found the clip of you climbing out of that. I don't know how the heck you got into that cabinet.
Yeah.
When he was on
Pat
when he was
Sajak.
on Pat Sajak's show, you climbed out of the cabinet.
It was small.
And he described you, Al Lewis described you like a kid. What was it like working with Butch Patrick as a kid on the set? And he said, it was great. It wasn't like some of those other kids, like you want to kick them. You really kicked the kid? Oh, no, not when the moms looked at you.
Yeah, W.C. Fields syndrome.
What was it like working with Al Lewis?
He was exactly an extension of, he came across on the screen a lot like his real personality. He was vaudevillian, he came from the old school circus on the road situation, always on, kind of a comedy routine, like a stand-up routine.
Yeah.
He always was edgy. Most people liked it. Occasionally you would get people that he was, mean to.
Right.
But it was all part of the act. Kind of like a Howard Stern thing. Howard on the mic and off the mic is totally different. Fred Gwynn, on the other hand, was a true Renaissance guy. He was a true actor. He was a musician. He was a sculptor. He was Harvard and Hasty Pudding Club, all of the above. So they were totally different, but at the same time, that's why it worked so well.
How did you get your role as Eddie Munster? I mean, tell us about going in, auditioning. What was attracted to that role that you wanted to play at your age? How old were you when you played that role?
I started right before I turned 11. So I was not even living in Hollywood at the time. I had done the Year of the Real McCoys. I went back to Missouri to live with my grandmother. And the age, they'd already cast the show. They'd cast it with two different people, a different mother and a different kid. And at the last minute, they brought in Yvonne DiCarlo, and they decided that they weren't happy. The kid's name was Happy Durham. They weren't happy with Happy. And my agent caught wind of this, and she says, I have the kid that would be perfect for you. And they go, well, we've looked at every kid in Hollywood. She goes, well, that's the point. He's not in Hollywood. He's in the Midwest. They flew me in for a screen test. And I didn't even go on an audition. I went directly to the studio, read a script with Yvonne DiCarlo, and filmed it, and they hired me.
Bada bing, bada boom. Huh?
Yeah, it was
Bruce,
amazing.
do you have any questions for our guest, Mr. Butch Patrick, a.k.a. Edward Munster?
How was it working with Fred Gwynn?
He was great. He was really, really busy all the time. Most of the time, the only time we had together was during our scenes, and I was either in school after that, and he was working. But he was wonderful. He taught me a lot about acting techniques. Some of the father and a lot of times when you're a kid, you don't really have a lot of dialogue. But they saw that I could handle dialogue, and Fred's character was kind of like a childlike character, and I became the instructor and he became the student.
Oh,
and
I know.
In some of the scripts, they flip-flopped it for humor, and the more they could see that I could handle dialogue, the more Eddie became a prominent character in the show. Sometimes as a kid, you just kind of walk in, walk out, but they actually wrote a lot of scripts for me to be a big participant in.
Well, when you would go out, Fred, this big goofy guy, Herman, you would say Pop.
Yeah, G-Pop, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like bringing him back in. Okay, Rick, you go ahead, it's your turn.
Well, firstly, we share a birthday.
August 2nd, really?
August 2nd.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yo,
Yeah, I've
Leo.
got that 4 times this week.
August 3rd.
August 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
July 30.
July 30th.
Wow,
Yeah, we're
we
all
need to have a-
within,
we need to have a
You
Leo.
got a Munster question or you want a
I
birthday
do,
party?
yeah.
What do you want?
Tell me about
What's yours?
Yeah.
Tell me about when you guys went out to the ballpark with Leo DeRocher.
Oh, you stole my question.
I'm sorry.
That's a very interesting question because there was a twist to that. The gentleman that was the catcher that said, no, not me, Leo, and go back to the minors. Well, he was my stepfather, and he was a professional baseball player.
Really?
Yeah, when my mom married Kenny, he was with the Angels. He came up through the Yankees and went to the Angels in the expansion. So when I wasn't at the studio, I had a chance to go to the ballpark for a few years and meet all the professional players, which was even better. But that particular episode, Leo DeRocher was managing the Cubs back then. Kenny, after that series, actually went sit down to the Tacoma Cubs where he quit baseball. But I got him his one and only acting part because Fred Gwynn liked him. Fred liked Kenny, and they gave him a chance to become an actor.
He was behind the dish.
One of the funniest episodes ever is, one of the neat things about Herman and Eddie was I was always volunteering him for stuff, or he would be doing something with the father and son routine, hit the ball, hit Leo 6 blocks away.
Yeah, right.
So those kind of shows were always a lot of fun because Herman was always trying to be the perfect father and always keep his son, happy.
He always had those little talks with you.
Always a little talk, little life talks.
Leo DeRocher sitting there, he got bumped in the head with a baseball. Where's where's the closest ballpark? 7 blocks.
That's it.
That was a great episode.
Yeah, that's a great episode.
Hit a grounder, Pop.
What was all right, now let me see if I have it right. Your full name on the show, Edward Wolfgang Munster?
That's correct.
Natalie, that's one you missed this week. Just highlighting it. And I said, if you want to cover it, you have to know his full name. And in a second, the doll was Wolfie.
Woof, woof.
Woof, woof,
Two of them you missed.
Wolfie might have been acceptable on Jeopardy.
Okay, what is Wolfie?
Wolfie was my teddy bear. He was a little teddy bear that I carried around. He looked like a little, I don't know, Mr. Hyde. He looked like a little type of Wolfman. Lon Chaney Jr.
I know, yeah.
There's argument between what does he look like? Does he look like Lon Chaney Jr., the Wolfman, or does he look like Mr. Hyde?
Okay, which episode did you like the best or frustrated you the most that you didn't want to play? The time Grandpa mixed a potion and you ended up with a beard, or the time Grandpa mixed a potion and you ended up as a little girl? Which one was it that upset you the most? See, I know
Well, the one that I didn't like was at the end where I'm swinging upside down in a tree with a girl holding her hand. Because at that point in time, I was not into girls at all. But the potion with the beard was a really good episode. But once they put that beard on me one morning, I was not looking forward to the next day putting it back on because it itched like crazy. And at that point, I hadn't shaved or anything, so this was like something on my face that just I couldn't keep my hands off it. It was like, it was like really, really annoying. The Zombo episode was one of my favorite episodes. You know, Eddie's nickname, Hot Rod Herman, and Zombo with Louie Nye. Was a funny episode because I love the line in it where I'm going to a TV station and I'm going, hey man, his house is all crummy. Isn't anything real around here? Eddie, it's television. Nothing's real. And it just struck me funny that here I am on television going to a studio.
I was reading, how is it working with Charles Nelson Riley?
Oh, that's a whole other small.
I mean, that's just a. Was he just as crazy as ever?
Yeah.
He did a kids show.
I did Saturday morning, Lidsville in the summer of '71 with Charles Nelson Riley. I was told it would only air for like 1 year when I did it, and I only did it for the money, to be honest with you. But I did. But I thought most of my friends would be asleep at 10:30 on Saturday morning. Nobody'd ever see it. Well, it was on for 4 years, became a huge hit. And Charles Nelson Riley, to answer your question, was a wonderful guy. But he had a crush on me, so I had to keep my distance from him. But the Karoff brothers were great. I mean, in hindsight, when I look back at all the shows that they did, the Puffin Stuff and the Bugaloos and Sigmund and Land of the Lost, they really had a really good spin on live-action fantasy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Back in the day.
Well, you know, I remember Lily said, Edward, don't get your beard out of that soup. Yep. And that's when you realize it dissolves. So.
Yeah, it was cotton candy. It dissolved.
Okay, which birthday present did you like better when Grandpa and Herman got in a fight to build you a birthday present and he built the go-kart on the...
Yeah, and then Herman wrecked it. Huh? Herman wrecked it, and I wound up with a pedal car that, gee, Grandpa, I'm 9 years old. I don't get a kick out of a pedal, but it's got a propeller and it flies. So
that's good stuff.
That was good stuff. Yeah.
Jeez.
What are and I appreciate. Thank you very much. We're here with Butch Patrick. Butch Patrick played Eddie Munster in the Munsters and in the 60s, and we have the hot rod cars. The Munster hot rod cars are at North Georgia Ford right here in Blue Ridge. We have all that information online. We're blasting it out on social media all day long, today and tomorrow. You can come up and meet Butch Patrick, get an autograph picture, and check out the hot rods.
I think they're doing some hamburgers and hot dogs out there,
too. Food.
Okay.
And we bring an entire Munster merchandise. I have a 32-foot trailer, so now when I travel, I actually have a store that comes along with me.
Nice.
So if you like Munster stuff, or if you have Munster stuff, bring it on out. You know, the photos are, photo ops are free, but we do have a huge. We got T-shirts, we got books, just a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Is like, what is going on over here? Mm-hmm. And I noticed on your website you have a lot of things available, and you have that trailer.
Yep.
And all these things are available.
Well, it was funny. Yesterday we stopped on the way up at a police station outside of Atlanta, really Haperville, and they gave me an honorary. I'd been there before for a charity auction, and we stopped again. And they made me an honorary policeman.
Nice.
But while I was there, a couple of people showed up. And they go, "Oh, now I don't have to go all the way to Orlando to get my Munster stuff." So it's like we're bringing the convention to you in a small, condensed version.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to go to follow me around, I'm coming to you. We do. We have T-shirts, books, coins, the little Johnny Lightning cars, coffee, yeah, all kinds of stuff. It's probably 20 items.
Now you guys actually shot the show in color. You went into makeup every day.
Yeah,
but it was the studio that chose not to spend at that time. Studios were going some shows in color, but there was a difference in the cost, and it was the studio that chose not to.
For the third season. That was for the third season. The first 2 seasons, all programming was black and white. That wasn't an issue. It was for the third season.
Okay.
Yeah. When there was the transition was there. I honestly think that's one of the reasons, but I really think Fred and Al were just ready to go home. They were New Yorkers that had been transplanted for 2 years out in L.A. And the combination of the cost a little bit, the ratings were sagging. We were a top 10 show for originally. Then we went to 15. Then we were in the top 25. Then we were almost into the top 40. We slipped down into the 30s. So I think it was a combination of all those. But they did mention that the color transition would be too expensive.
Was there much competition between the Addams Family show? How did that whole thing?
That actually worked out really well for both of us because we were on Thursday nights and they were on Friday nights. And the deal was, even if you preferred one or the other, the chances are you watched them both.
Yeah.
So literally each one helped the other one's existence if you think about it.
Did Al Lewis really hang upside down?
He didn't like it, yeah, but he did. He was not a happy camp. When he was upside down, he was you think he was cranky standing up? Hanging upside down.
And the dungeon, the
dungeon.
That was what are, before we end, because I could spend the day with you on this because I just love the Munsters. What are probably 2 or 3 of the top memorable moments for you on that show, whether it's off the air or on the air?
One of them obviously was Fred. One time we were leaving the Munster house as an exterior. It was getting dark, and they asked him, please go down, turn around, and come back immediately in case we have to do it again before we lose our light.
I know where
Fred,
you're going with this.
took it upon himself to drive right out the front gate and hung a left on Lancashire and went up to Cahuenga, went by the Hollywood Bowl, turned around and came back. We were gone about 15 minutes. But the thing was, everybody's looking at us in the Munster coach driving down the street, unauthorized.
That's right.
But we didn't know how much gas was in it. It's not the most dependable car.
Did the brakes work?
We got back, apparently. At least that day they did. The hijacking of the Munster coach that day was my remembrance. Number 2 probably would be...
You got to sit way up in the back, right?
Well, yeah, I got to sit up on the back, no seatbelt, holding on for dear life.
Oh, geez.
We had a lot of visitors to the set. I got to meet Wally Schirra at the time, one of the astronauts, the Gemini 7. He was the only guy to, actually fly in all 3 programs. So that was a big deal. The Beatles came on the set one day. I wasn't there, missed out on that one.
Oh, dear.
But we had a lot of guests. It was the Universal tour had just started that year, so everybody that came out for the tour wanted to go by the Munster set. We were like the #1 destination for anybody that wanted to.
1313 Mockingbird
Most
Lane,
famous
right?
address on television. It was like they used that in so many scrips that everybody remembers the address.
Yeah.
We have that in our job interview form. They don't know 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
Yeah, and the music. One of the things about
we don't need them.
Well, one of the things about the show too is people don't realize Universal was the monster studio, and they took all that great monster technology of how to shoot a good monster movie and integrated it into the Munsters. So you had a comedy, and you had this funny twist on things, but you had great sets, you had great lighting, and you had really good visuals. It was good, and the music was good. We had a really cool theme.
I can't get that one out of my head now.
Home now?
Right now, we're at whatever hotel I may be in, but I'm between Missouri and Orlando. My wife lives in Orlando. I bought a house in Missouri that my grandmother used to own, the one that I actually lived in right after the Munsters.
Well, Butch Patrick, thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
being here. We appreciate it, and I probably should move along because Rick knows all too well. We could talk.
Yeah.
We could talk Munsters all day. We didn't bring up Maryland. There was 2 Marylands.
Beverly Owen left the show after 13 episodes, and then Pat Priest stepped in.
Huh?
Yeah.
Beverly went out to do a pilot that was promised by her agent that the show would not sell. And once the show became a hit, she was stuck out there. And she was homesick and in love. And Fred and Al went to the producers and said, you got to let this girl go home because this is like harsh and unusual punishment. They didn't want to let her go because that would rock the boat. So she went back home, and her husband, at the time, he was on Captain Kangaroo as a producer. They created Sesame Street together.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Which I thought was so cool.
Neat.
Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it.
Come on out to Ford.
Did I leave anything out?
No, I think, I think we probably bored him to death.
Not at all. Not at all. This is good.
I think we proved we really watched.
You do, yeah. Good job, Natalie.
I'm your host, BKP, and we're at Circuit World here in Blue Ridge, and beautiful Friday morning. And today and tomorrow, this is Butch Patrick, played Eddie Munster on the Munsters right here, right on 515. You can't miss it. Northbound side, if you're coming from Blairsville, on the right-hand side, northbound, left-hand side. Tim Ford, North Georgia Ford. They have the van, the trailer with all the Munster memorabilia, the books, everything. You can meet Mr. Patrick, autographs, but if you're a gearhead or you want to see the cars, the Dragula, put those together, and the Munster mobile there, the family car, North Georgia Ford, today and tomorrow. What is the time again?
Today is 3 to 6 Friday, and tomorrow will be 11 to 4.
3 to 6, 11 to 4, and on FetcherNews.com, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, we're blasting it out all day today and tomorrow, so you'll be able to find it.
And free photo ops all day long.
Free photo ops. Wow, my day is, I can go home. I can go home right now. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I'm your host, BKP, and when we get back, it's Jane's show, because we're gonna bring you in and let you have the biggest comment of the day. You ready?
You aren't gonna like it.
Okay. We'll be back right after these messages.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
I've had the time of my life. I never felt like this before. I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I'll tell you something. This could be love, because I've had the time of my life. I've never felt like this before, 'cause I've had the time of my life.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hot.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
And we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from beautiful downtown Blue Ridge. We're at Circuit World here in Blue Ridge.
If you're confused, I'm not Butch Patrick. You know, just
didn't confuse me at all.
Okay, cutting right through the confusion, trying to make our way It is the All-Star panel, Bruce, Rick, and Jane. And so what we want to do this morning, before we get to our Pet of the Week and close the show, is give every one of you an opportunity to talk about the subject of the week, the news item of the week that you find most interesting or you wanted to make some comments on. You want to start?
Let Jane start because she can have the longest.
Well, if McCabe is not fired today, and if he's allowed to get his pension, I might just move to the moon or something. If he is allowed to get his pension...
I don't want to gloss over you have a rocket.
Yeah, right. I'll just be really disappointed in Trump, and if he doesn't just insist that McCabe goes.
Andrew McCabe, acting co-director, acting traitor. Well put. Acting co-director of the FBI retires soon after finding out that he colluded to help bring down the President of the United States, then a candidate for President of the United States. After all of that is revealed and basically proved, he takes his vacation days. He gets his vacation days, his time off, his sick days, and they call him and say, look, you know what? You're guilty of trying to bring down the whole United States of America and corruption. Why don't you just take time off till you can retire? Really? The rest of us, they say prison. It's called, or retirement would be prison.
Or worse, you know, if you are convicted of treason, you are dead. I mean, it's the death penalty. You know that.
Back in the old days.
And
probably not anymore.
What Jane is talking about
we'll see about
what Jane is talking about is the news this week is that McCabe would actually be fired and not allowed to continue on his leave of absence until his full retirement kicks in.
Which is Sunday.
Which I think you're 100% right. I think you're 100%.
1.8 million he's got hanging out
in
retirement.
Right. And it does change things if his personnel file says fired.
There is some, I read the whole article, there is some protection for federal employees.
Some.
Even if he was fired. Yeah.
Some.
If he's fired, he doesn't get his pension. What does he get? Half his pension? Go tell us.
About
95%, probably.
Yeah, no,
federal employees.
Part of it is protected.
They're gold.
All right, he gets protected. Andy McCabe gets protected pension, but he doesn't walk away with everything, and his personnel file doesn't say, because he's not an old guy. Don't take that wrong. I'm not an old guy. You know what I'm saying? He's not an old guy. No. I don't know what I was implying. Let's move right along.
Yes,
maybe I was just
nothing to see here. Keep moving.
What I'm saying is, he may want another job, and he certainly doesn't want it to show up. He wants it to show up that he left his last job and moved on, not terminated on the personnel file.
Well, they're talking last night.
Just everything, you know what I mean?
I mean, everyone might be in jail. I'm tired of waiting on people to get in jail. But he could have some serious charges against him.
But guys like him will
CNN, Ohio.
Exactly. They'll get a mainstream media job, as a pundit or an opinionator, whatever.
Yeah.
He will be appointed to a board. I love this. They leave government and they're appointed to a board, and the board meets 4 times a year.
Planned
so they got
Parenthood.
to fly in. They fly in. They go to a board meeting, and they leave 4 times a year. Okay, so you want McCabe fired? That's today.
I do indeed.
You
think it's going to happen?
I think it's 50-50. Last night, the pundits said on Fox that they really looked positive, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay. What?
I don't know.
What say you? We can come back to that. I just want to make sure we get everybody. And what say you?
I tried to do some winners and losers. All I could find were losers.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy up in Michigan, Brian Ellison, he's a libertarian candidate running for the Senate seat up there. Mm-hmm. He wants to give every homeless person a shotgun.
Oh my God!
A fact. He wants to give he wants to issue a shotgun so they can protect themselves.
A short barrel pump, or
That's going to not help.
He said, "I'd rather give him a pistol, but there's laws against that." But I mean, there's one loser. God, poor Cooper. What's his name?
Anderson Cooper.
Anderson Cooper. He and his significant partner broke up.
Oh, I'm crying.
Donald Jr., he and his partner are getting divorced. There's three
Wife,
losers.
yeah.
Donald Jr. is getting divorced.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vanessa.
She received that envelope.
Vanessa.
Yeah, Vanessa.
5 kids.
What envelope did she receive?
The white powder.
Yeah, the white powder.
Well, no, there was not anthrax in it.
No.
No, it was an unknown substance.
And the biggest loser of the week, Hillary, taking 2 headers down the steps and then falling in the tub at a 5-star hotel and breaking her wrist.
Fell in the tub.
Oh, yeah, she's got a broken
He
wrist
took
now.
my loser of the week. I got nothing left.
I got nothing.
We could always use
Well, no, I'm just thankful you had a scratch pad on the kitchen counter where you can
With
jot
my
a
daughter
couple
Lindsay's
notes.
name
Other
on
than,
it.
I mean,
It's just the best you can do. You got a folder.
yeah, but I got nothing in there this week.
Got nothing.
But think of it, if Hillary was president, I mean, like, she'd be at Walter Reed now. She'd be like,
Walter Reed. Yeah.
I mean, we are so much better off without having
I
her
saw her
tripping all
taking
over the place.
The fall down the steps. Did she actually say she was doing a little dance? I mean, is that a true
She
story?
kicked her shoes off afterwards.
I
think
saw that.
she's blaming the shoes.
Of course she's blaming the shoes.
Yeah, she
what
blames-
about the shoes? Anyway.
But what about her comments? I mean, about
Yeah.
men putting pressure on their women.
Oh my gosh!
Do you have a response to that?
Oh, I was infuriated that women. First of all, white women. I mean, she was just so obvious with her hatred of.
Yeah, she could at least.
Women did not want to vote different from their husband
Like,
and their
right.
sons. Their husband and sons said, "You must vote this way, Mom. You must do this."
And they did
So
it to please them.
The mindless white
Right.
women just voted so they'd be peace and harmony in the house.
She's the mindless
Who
white
has she
woman.
not blamed yet
I mean,
for her loss?
yeah, but who is she not?
Other than
what,
looking at herself and saying, I'm
what
the
has
loser
she
here.
not twisted around to her convenience? I mean, she's supposed to be a champion of women, so she's going to stand and say, well, Mom was in the kitchen, with pearls on and an apron and didn't know which way to turn. And then little Billy and what was the beef's dad's name?
Hugh Beaumont.
Yeah, you got home and said, you must vote this way. Well, okay.
Well, our three
I'm
wives,
sorry, I'm sorry.
three wives, like we really just say, "How would you like me to vote?" Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me
I
and
mean,
Barbara,
weeks before the election, I get it.
weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Constantly.
But she's
Yeah, I know somebody I tell how to vote. Sure, I got
just
that.
and we're the old school. The new school would sock you in the, that's just a
Bazinkas.
ridiculous statement.
Yeah,
but I would just like to say she is
You know where that is.
ultimate white woman.
Ultimate white woman.
Sounds like a movie title.
I wanted it to be detrimental to her because she allowed her husband to do all the things he did. She annihilated some more white women who were brave enough to stand up and come out against him. That is one brave thing because their life was killed. And she talks to us about weak white women. Give me a break.
Quickly. Mueller, I think people need to get an understanding, and I'm sorry to put it that way, but be clear on there's only one objective here of the deep state is to bring down the President of the United States, period. There's no middle ground.
No.
Mueller going to go into the Trump organization and look around. What say you?
For what purpose? I mean, how someone ought to just say, really? I mean, how far can you go? It's like he's looking. Well, it's obvious he's looking for a crime.
Yeah.
He can't find one.
He's crime shopping.
Yeah, he's crime shopping. That's exactly what he's doing.
But my concern is, there was a lady, and I have it, that wrote an article I read the other day of Obama. Really, you have no scandals? I mean,
oh my goodness,
we could have put a special counsel in place that should still be digging. They just glossed over everything with Hillary, glossed over everything with Susan Rice, they just glossed over every single thing.
There's 2 attorneys generals in there.
And all they had to do was say, all the Democrats or the Clintons or the deep state had to say was, and they moved on. Trump says, he comes out of a meeting with Mueller saying, hey, how did that go? Oh, my God, the news flash. Breaking news. Trump asked Previs how it went with Mueller. Is this obstruction? Then they do the panels.
Yeah.
They put all the talking heads, and this one is, he's
it's clearly obstruction.
It's clearly something he should not have done. He should not have engaged. What the hell are you people talking about?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Like you can't live your life.
Okay, let me just throw it out there. Not that she doesn't. Well, I don't know. It's a family show. Stormy Daniels. What the heck? I mean, first of all, this is somebody that thought, why did I settle for $130,000? I mean,
I could have gotten a bigger payday.
That was amazing.
Yes, I can get the big payday.
What? Oh, that's what she said. Well, I was stupid. Let's replay this whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know what happened, 10 years ago, supposedly when they were, closer.
Wait a minute. Let me just put this over here. We have a porn star that half of the night is counting her ones, okay? Just saying, okay?
I don't get that, sorry.
All right, but half the night she's counting her ones, okay? And every once in a while she bumps into a 5.
Oh.
All right, let me finish this. I'm trying to do the side-by-side comparables. So they say that 10 years ago, Donald Trump stopped by and said, hi, Stormy, how are you? And whatever. And now 10 years later, supposedly his attorney, stay with this, paid her out of his account $130,000 to keep your damn mouth shut. That was the deal.
Cease and desist, or whatever the
shut the hell up.
NDA.
So wait,
sign a gag order.
Non-disclosure.
Here's the left side. Here's the left side. $130,000, folks, to keep a porn star quiet. Okay? Now, let's go to the other side. Now, the question is, did the attorney pay that? And did Donald Trump's campaign reimburse that attorney? And is there campaign fraud here? Is there laws broken and campaign finance laws have been broken? It's very serious. Now, that's the left side.
More serious than the Clinton Foundation.
Now, the right side over here, we have the DNC, we have fact. We have the Hillary Clinton campaign, we have fact. Funneled the money into an attorney's office. Well, it sounds like maybe the same thing over here, but not $130,000. Funneled the money into an attorney's office because they knew they couldn't directly pay out as a campaign, which directly paid out to Mr. Steele to write a dossier that went to the court, got a FISA warrant on false information to investigate a campaign in the area of millions of dollars. But nobody ever talks about that.
And by the way, Fusion GPS
I agree with you.
did work for Obama opposition research on Mitt Romney. They'd use the same model, 5 years earlier.
But over here, a political party and a candidate can funnel millions through an attorney's office to pay out to a foreign spy to create a false document to go to our courts to get a FISA warrant to spy on a political candidate. Now, that's pretty much just the summary nutshell. Am I close?
Yeah.
But over here, we got a porn star that goes home at night and on the dresser is counting the ones.
I like your visual.
Stripper porn star counting the ones. I think she got hired to sing hello to happy birthday to the president.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Mr. President.
I just watched that the other day.
So anyhow, but I mean but now it's a 60-minute special. Okay, quick. Tillerson out. Good, bad?
Good.
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 Pompeo in.
Good.
Even better.
Good.
I think that's
Okay.
good. What about McMaster's?
What about Gina
Is
Haspel?
he out? Is he going
No.
out?
Let's not jump your McMasters yet.
Gina Haspel. See,
Yeah. What about that?
Yeah. What do you think?
I think she's going to have a tough confirmation hearing, but
But
I
why?
think it's great.
Huh?
The allegation of being associated with the
Tell
water
me
board.
you did not want to be. You would not want to have
Khalid
been.
Sheikh Mohammed,
Tell me you would
183
not
times.
want to have been.
Bada bing, bada
In
bing.
Was it Thailand? The Thailand?
Thailand.
Would you want to be there and watch this woman slap those boys all around there? I mean, come on. I'm not putting you on the spot, but say yes. You wanted to be there.
Well, maybe.
You wanted to see it? Yeah, he won't go for it. Will you?
It was not illegal at the time. It was not illegal. Waterboarding was not illegal. There's been more media waterboarded because they had to try it so they could talk about it.
I'm just saying, this woman is the co-director. She's the deputy director.
Second in charge.
Second in charge of the CIA. She has a 30-year career, right?
We talked about this on the phone.
Career, right? 30-year career in the CIA. So she worked for Clinton. She worked for Bush. She worked for
both Bushes.
Bush, right? First
She
Bush.
knows
She
some
worked.
stuff.
She worked for Obama the last. Why didn't you just fire her?
She knows
If they
where
were-
everything.
Every single thing.
A federal employee. Go back
is
to the first thing you opened
but
with. You
this
can't
is
touch
This
them.
is probably the best candidate we could put up.
Depending on what
Agreed with
side
that.
she's on.
You agree with that?
I agree with that.
Best candidate we could put up.
Because she's a day-to-day operating person.
Yeah,
she
but
knows.
wait a minute. Remember during the presidential election and all the elections, they tell us that, Biden or this candidate is the best prepared candidate in history based on all this experience. You remember George H. Bush was the best prepared candidate because he was ambassador to China, right? How come it's not applying to this lady here?
How do you know
the
she's
best.
not in the deep state, though? How do you know?
I don't know. It's
So
a chance
that's
I'm
the
willing to
issue.
take.
She does know everything.
It's a
but-
chance I'm willing to take because President Donald Trump had the boom to say to Cohen this close, look, I know you're leaving. He's a globalist. He's one hell of a globalist,
Yeah.
but he's okay. He had the nerve to say that. He
Right
had
in the room
the nerve.
with his entire cabinet.
He promised the American people. He said the Iranian deal was the stupidest deal he'd ever seen. Right?
Tillerson
Well,
before
up,
that.
up there with NAFTA.
But he said that, right?
Yeah.
So Tillerson did not want out of Iran. Did not
he
want
didn't.
out of Iran, the Iranian deal, the nuclear deal.
did not.
And Trump made a promise
Paris
to the American
Accord,
people.
too. Paris
He's gone,
Accord, too.
right? I mean, what say you? He's establishment.
I don't know if it's so much.
Tillerson was never the right guy anyway. I mean, Gates and what's her face,
Condoleezza Rice
Condoleezza Rice
introduced
come in
him
and say
3
this is the
weeks
guy.
before. Right.
That's it.
But Trump is good enough to say, look, I gave you guys a chance. I promised the American people X. Okay? The deep state came in and said, oh, this is your man, this is your woman, this is that. And I gave them a chance, and they're gone. McMaster's, I think McMaster's needs to go. He came in.
He is CFR. He is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations.
McMaster's
That's
needs to
enough
go,
tell you.
and I'm not going to be upset with that.
Oh,
but what about, now the media hypes everything. What about if Kelly goes?
I don't like that idea.
You don't
we
like that?
talked about
Yeah, Mick Mulvaney. I mean, I like Mick Mulvaney,
You don't like
but
what idea? If Kelly goes?
Yeah.
I don't. I'm on the.
I think you-
fence.
I like Kelly. I
What
think
do
he's
you
doing a
think?
good job.
I think Kelly's
so he's
I
not
think
in the deep
Kelly needs to
state. You don't-
stay.
He's a steady hand on the tiller. I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kelly,
I
to me,
hope
Kelly
he's
needs to
straight.
stay.
But Tillerson, I don't know if it was so much Iran. I think it was his views on North Korea more than Iran, in my opinion.
You think so?
Yeah. I think they were way apart on North Korea, how to handle it.
I think the media really needs to get focused on the fact that this is not an exception with Trump administration. This is going to be the norm.
They're not. They're going to make every personnel change is going to be a huge event.
Chaos. This isn't chaos. This is standard operating procedure for Trump. This guy's not working out. I need a better guy. He's constantly trying to make the paradigm better.
Or a woman.
No,
Or a
but
woman,
they're conditioned to accept the federal employee
They're used to the good old boy syndrome. They're just not used to this.
They're not used to somebody gets fired. They're used to somebody gets demoted.
Business environment.
But they're preoccupied with anything Trump does is going to be like, it's not the normal president. It's classless.
A little different. I think that the globalist mentality, the deep state, is much more pervasive than anyone knows, and that Trump is coming to see that in many ways with the people that he has on board. And it's not that they just don't get along. I mean, he's fighting the deep state. He is fighting the coup. And Priebus, he was the dadgum leaker. I mean, I hated him from the first. I disliked him from the first. Trump is just weeding out the people who are deep down globalist, and he has got to get them out of there, or he will never succeed.
He continues to drain the swamp,
and he does,
and
he has to take a lot of
one deadbeat federal employee at a time.
That's right.
But they're determined to get rid of him.
There's a war going on.
The star of our show, the pet of the week. We always love to round out the week. And wrap up with our pet of the week. We noticed our star just showed up. So, last word, last comment, last thought, right to left.
Well, again, I'm just thankful that Hillary, is not president, because it would just be a cluster fudge. So,
close, but not
no cigar.
The golden ring.
And you?
I left a loser out. I forgot about Rand Paul.
Oh, what is he thinking?
Oh, geez, he did now he's coming right out of the box press conference. I am not going to support Pompeo, and I'm not going to support
Gina Haspel.
Yeah,
mimicking John McCain.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So there's 2 votes already against.
And you?
I've about said all I know about that.
It was fun with Butch today, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was.
I've about said all I can say.
That is a first. Just write that down.
Hey,
Munster shirts next week?
Yeah, Munster shirts for all. Orange whip, orange whip, orange whip. You know what? We live in a TV reality show, and we have a week where kids walked out of schools, and they have actually no idea why they walked out of those schools this week. We then have adults that are coddling those children, coming up with good, compassionate reasons why they walked out and why we support them. I tell you what, I guess I got my work cut out for me next week starting Monday morning, because I have to get right back on it. Republicans, let me remind you, Conor Lamb, they will argue with you, they will argue with you, they will argue with you. If Pennsylvania moves the 10 seats that the Supreme Court did slice out for Pennsylvania, that means there's another 118 districts that resemble the Pennsylvania 18th that this past Tuesday. All they have to find is 14 Conor Lambs that have no record that they've run on, have a wife and little children to take a picture, say they're pro-life, say they're pro-Second Amendment, do not knock the Trump tax cuts, and say they agree with the tariffs, depending if they're in a union-friendly area, and say, hey, if I'm elected, I'll vote against Nancy Pelosi. But watch the DCCC, which Nancy Pelosi's in charge of, shove that money in there. So don't get confused that if you get a candidate that says, I will vote for Nancy Pelosi, she's upset, because she's not. Because she knows 14 seats and 14 Conor Lamb type candidates, along with Pennsylvania, and she has the gavel. There's a nice thought to leave you with. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I'm just going to tell them the truth. It's time for our pet of the week, so we can round out our week and enjoy beautiful Blue Ridge, sunny day, and all of North Georgia. Take us a break.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
I've had the time of my life. I never felt like this before. I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I'll tell you something. This could be love, because I've had the time of my life. I've never felt like this before, 'cause I've had the time of my life.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hot.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Hey, I'm your host, BKP, and we are back, and we're rounding out our week with the star of the show from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge, our pet of the week. Karen, thank you very much for bringing this beautiful young man. And who do we have with us today?
This is Bogey.
Bogey, come here.
Bogey is a sweet, lovable lab basset hound mix, we believe. He was brought to us through another rescue. He had a car accident, so he's got.
Why were you driving that fast? I always wanted to use that line.
I think he was hit by a car. I don't think he was driving the car. But you never know, because he is.
Get your filthy paw off
I gotta
me.
tell you, on the ride over here, he's very good in the car. He drives very well.
Give me loving and you'll get a snack.
In the front seat.
Okay,
probably.
you want a snack? You want a snack? Give me loving.
Come on, Bogey.
Hey, Bogey.
Give him loving. You know how to give kisses. You give kisses.
So, how old is Bogey?
He's about 1.5 years.
And
he's very sweet, lovable. He loves to be with people. I mean, he is definitely. He wants a person.
This hand?
He seems to get along with other dogs. We haven't had him in a yard together with another dog yet, but I can't imagine he wouldn't be a good companion for another dog. Of course, we do meet and greets before we have you fill out after you fill out an application, we do a meet and greet to make sure he gets along with your other dogs. But
let me see your choppers. I always check the choppers. I always check. Your crunchers are good. You have great crunchers.
But
how are you doing? Say ah. Say ah. Let me say. Say ah. Let me look. Oh, okay, you can have
He
treats.
loves his treats.
I like my puppies. I mean, why did everybody look at me?
I know, you're so good with them. You're so good with them. But he's just a sweet boy. And you can tell he's...
Yes, he is.
And he's learning all kinds of tricks. He's learning to sit for his treats. Obviously, he just learned to lay down for his treats. But as far as a great family pet, I believe he would be awesome.
Folks, this is Bogey from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge. You can always find all the pictures of their pets if you go to humanesocietyofblueridge.org. And that's the website. And the Facebook page, you can find it. Make sure you look for Humane Society of Blue Ridge Facebook page. All of their dogs and available cats are on the Facebook page. Again, their hours of operation are there, and you have to schedule a meet and greet, because what we like to do, all of us, fetchyournews.com and our friends at the Humane Society in Blue Ridge, what we like to do is find our pets what we call their forever home, right?
Correct.
So we go every step possible to make sure that's happened. We do a meet and greet. You bring your pet, you bring the family, and you know, some dogs want just their person.
Correct.
And then some dogs want to be a part of the family and might have some other dogs, so that's very important.
Absolutely, and a lot of people do have other dogs. I mean, it seems like everybody's got one, more than one. But
did you hear something, Bogey?
He is very enthused about other. You know, he just wants attention. He just loves to get attention.
Bogey's absolutely beautiful, a year and a half old. And now he has a special scarf for St. Patrick's Day. He has a St. Patrick's Day scarf on.
We are having a St. Patrick's Day parade downtown Blue Ridge tomorrow. Humane Society is supposed to be represented there. If it's not pouring rain tomorrow, we will be there. So we will have a float, so come join us for the fun. We'd love to see you. Otherwise, we're at 171 Mineral Springs Road in Blue Ridge. Please come stop in our facility and see all our dogs.
You know, also, I never want to leave without letting you know that when you adopt a pet from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge, all pets, cats and dogs, go through an intake program that they guarantee that the dogs have had their shots.
Correct. He's been fully vaccinated. Microchipped.
And these dogs are ready to take home and find their forever home. Bogey's looking for his forever home or some more treats. He is a sweet guy, just a beautiful dog here. And, you know, if you're looking for a pet and the family's looking for another dog or your first dog, I'm asking you, choose a rescue like these beautiful animals at the Humane Society of Blue Ridge. Karen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
I want to tell you I appreciate you taking your time. I appreciate all the volunteers at the Humane Society of Blue Ridge and even the paid staff that's over there. All of you work so hard to make this program such a success for these beautiful animals to find a home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Give kisses. Give kisses. Okay.
And we're still praying for Rena and her family, and we hope to see her back soon.
And folks, my opinion as one of the things is you should always check the choppers. Let me see a chopper. Say ah. All right. Bogey said ah, and I'm saying it's over. We'll see you Monday morning, 8 a.m. Don't forget, the Munsters, Butch Patrick at North Georgia Ford here in Blue Ridge. The Munster rods have both the dragsters that were on the show from the Munsters, Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster, at North Georgia Ford today and tomorrow. And St. Patrick's Day parade downtown Blue Ridge tomorrow. I will be back Monday morning. I have a doubleheader baseball game tonight. 8 a.m. Monday morning. Good morning from the office. Thank you again, Karen.
Thank you, Brian.